Good evening, vinyl community. Hello. Excuse me. I haven't got COVID, don't worry. Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody's doing really well in VC, YouTube land, wherever you're streaming this. I don't know. It's Rob back for another video. It's Saturday night and it's here to celebrate Richard McCook. God bless him, or should I say Sir Richard McCook, as I believe he's now referred to in some quarters. So yes, very illustrious title there. But yeah, no, I digress. Richard McCook, what can you say about him? Fantastic guy. Real pillar store of the VC, regularly updates, really interesting videos. He's the undisputed king of pop. I don't think anybody would deny or refute that fact. He's got incredible knowledge, but a great heart and warmth to go with it, of course. So I was really, really delighted to see him hit the 3 years. Many congratulations, Richard. To celebrate, he has set a quiz competition for us with 3 questions. He's been a bit wily in the past, Mr. McCook. He's renowned. He's known to be a bit slippery, with the old questions, and he doesn't give a lot away. Likes to make things tricky and interesting and so on, which sometimes forces me to be a little bit subversive and bend the rules a little bit. But I'm going to really, really try my best tonight, Richard, to stick to the rules. And so here we go anyway. I will say no more. 3 questions. First question is pick 3 artists from your collection and show their best and worst albums. Okay. So right off the bat, I'm going to show The Beat. Okay, so The Beat did basically 3 studio albums on the trot. So from 1980 to 1983 or 84, I believe. Absolute best for me is their debut, Just Can't Stop It. This just hasn't got a bad moment on it. Starts off with Mirror in the Bathroom, Hands Off She's Mine, Twist and Crawl, Wine and Grind, Stand Down Margaret, fantastic. The Amazing Best Friend, and Jackpot to End, just a brilliant album. The follow-up, Wetam, is pretty good as well, but not quite so good. Still got Doors of Your Heart, All Out to Get You. Drowning's great, but it's just not quite there. The weakest album for me is this one, which is the 3rd one. As I say, none of these, it was quite a difficult one because I kind of had a purge recently and I got rid of a lot of records that I no longer listen to or that I don't, just decided that I don't particularly like, or that, I feel that they're easy, I can get them back again. They're not rare or sought after particularly. And this one isn't isn't quite so good as the other 2. Jeanette, the single's quite nice. Save It for Later. Yeah, it's okay. But not a patch on the original. So that's The Beat. Okay. Secondly, I'm going with Jethro Tull. My favorite album of theirs is this one, the second album, Stand Up, from 1969. Yeah, and I mean, this is the first album was really bluesy, as a lot of you know. This one was where obviously Anderson really started to branch out with his flute playing, exploring more progressive avenues, really stretching out. And this just has all the elements of everything that I just love about Jethro Tull: the progginess, the wonderful flute playing, wonderful echo and reverb that's used on this record as well, which just adds real atmosphere to it. Yeah, I love that record. And then the worst, well, it's not fair really for me to comment on their later material because I kind of lost interest with them after when they got into the 80s. But for me, this is the weakest one of the lot. This is Stormwatch from 1979. For me, this is just Tull by numbers, really. I'm trying to think of a real standout moment on this. Flying Dutchman's quite nice. And yeah, I mean, it's a well produced, well put together album. Ian Anderson's a very good producer. He knows how to get the best out of the band or the musicians that he's using at the time, because he hired and fired people at will. He's notorious for it. Yeah, it just doesn't really just stand up for me as a great album out of the 12, 13 albums I have of theirs in my collection. So that's Jethro Tull. Okay, and the next one is I know a group that divides quite a lot of people on the VC. There's quite a lot of people, and people that I know that my wife included, that can't stand this group, but I love them. I love their whimsy and just their groundbreaking folk group. Don't sound like anybody else. But yes, in my opinion, they have a best and a poorer, lesser moment, let's say. So, okay, so this is the Incredible String Band, and this is my favorite album of theirs, which is Wetam, which is their 1968 release. I think chronologically it's their fourth album, but this was released as a double album in the UK. So you got Wetam and the Big Huge. In America, it was released as two separate albums on the Elektra label. But yeah, I mean, the best album, you split the album in two, and for me, Wetam is just their finest album. I just love Job's Tears, the first track that opens it. Beautiful Heron Song Puppies, just very silly, transcendental craziness. Beyond the Sea, Yellow Snake, it's lovely. I could probably do without Log Cabin, Home in the Sky. Not particularly keen on that one, but the rest of it, You Get Brighter, Wonderful Half Remarkable Question, The Air, and the epic Ducks on a Pond, which my son still enjoys to this day because I used to play it infinitum in the car, taking him to nursery. Yeah, so that's indelibly printed on his brain. Okay, yeah, and for me, out of certainly and I have most of their albums, this one is the weakest one for me. This is their 72 album, Earthspan. And ironically, the best song on this is the opener, which was not written by Mike Heron or Robin Williamson. It was actually written by Malcolm Maestra, which is My Father Was a Lighthouse Keeper. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful song, and it's the highlight of this album. But yeah, the rest of it, I could just really just kind of, it's okay, you know, but it's the one that I play, the album that I play the least in their catalogue. So that for me is their weakest. Okay, so question 2, show 3 albums you have on CD but would love on vinyl. There's quite a few CDs that I have because I've not been able to get them on vinyl because they've not been reissued, or just they're out of print, or can't get hold of them, or whatever. So really quickly, I'm not going to go into this too much because I've shown this recently. This is Heaven and Earth and Refuge, and Heaven and Earth. And this is a wonderful psych folk album from the United States. I've talked about this a couple of times already, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. Suffice it to say that the original was a quadraphonic recording, and just the mix of this is wonderful. But I'd love to hear the warmth of that coming through on a vinyl release. Very limited reissue. Originals, I would imagine, are pretty hard to get hold of. And I ended up getting this because I couldn't get a vinyl copy. So yeah, okay. Next one is another folk psych classic. I got this. I understand this has been released on vinyl several times, but I've always missed out on it. This is Linda Perhacs and Parallelograms, 1970. Laurel Canyon artist, wonderful psych folk album. Yeah, it's up there with the best of them, really. Sounds pretty good on CD and is apparently a lot better sounding than the original, which apparently she wasn't happy with the way. Linda Perks was never happy with the way it was mastered, as she'd kind of mixed it originally. Obviously that never did it justice, but it has been reissued on vinyl several times. Again, I've just missed out on it, so that's definitely one that I would like. This one I would dearly love on vinyl, but the original of this would cost me a small fortune. Certainly in the 4-figure realm. This is Duncan Brown's magical debut album, Give Me Take You. Wonderful Baroque pop album from 1968 on Andrew Loog Oldham's immediate label, so the same label as The Small Faces. This is just a brilliant album, absolutely fantastic. I mean, everybody talks about Odyssey and Oracle by the Zombies, which, yeah, is, of course, an absolute undisputed classic. But this, for me, is equally, in a lot of ways, as good. A little more understated, but no less compelling. And, yeah, just beautiful, wonderful kind of classical guitar playing to sort of exquisite lyrics, and again would just love to hear an original first mix of this record. I don't think I ever will, but certainly if it was reissued, I'd be the first to jump on it. Okay, so show 3 artists where a best of is all you need. Okay, yeah, I struggled a little bit with this one. Certainly, yeah, it's the Eurythmics. So yeah, I have pretty much all the Eurythmics albums. They're dirt cheap to pick up. I've picked them up over the years as I've found them. I think apart from the first 2 records, In the Garden and Sweet Dreams, which I just think are brilliant. Other than that, the rest of them I'd be, I'd be quite happy just to have the singles, really. Here Comes the Rain Again, Right By Your Side, Who's That Girl? For me, the best tracks off Touch, Be Yourself Tonight, Would I Lie to You, There Must Be an Angel in My Heart, It's Alright, Baby's Coming Back. Again, the hits are the best songs on that. And then You've Placed a Chill in My Heart is definitely my favourite off this, which again is a single. So yeah, I'd go for the Eurythmics on that. This one a little bit harder to come by, to decide on, but yeah, I decided in the end that I'd go for Cat Stevens. Basically, even though I have pretty much his entire 70s, 60s and 70s catalogue, I very rarely listen to any of them apart from this one. So this would be really, really difficult for me to part with for a best of, because I pretty much like every song on this. But this is my go-to Cat Stevens record. So yes, if I could, as a little bit of a cheat, Richard, I would say that as a caveat, I would put in that I would keep this as my go-to album. Yeah, it was the record that he recorded while he was in hospital and recovering, and it's, I don't know, there's a real depth of feeling to the tracks on this album that is kind of unique for me. Yeah, Lady Darbenville, Pop Star, Maybe You're Right, Trouble. Yeah, it's just fantastic, particularly that first side. But yeah, I'd go. The rest of them, I'd go for the singles, to be honest with you. So yeah. Okay, and then the third one. This was quite an easy one for me, really. Again, I've picked up these records every now and again because they're really, really cheap to get hold of. I do quite like her, but I don't like her enough, really, to sort of warrant listening to all the records. Really, I never kind of pick them out particularly to play them. That's Melanie. Okay. I mean, probably out of all of them, Gather Me is probably the one that I play the most. But even then, yeah, I mean, it's brand new key. What else have we got? Lay Down, Candles in the Rain. I really like Nickel's song off The Good Book. Yeah, I'd be happy with the best of Melanie, really, and I wouldn't lose too much sleep. So there you go, Richard. I've managed to blag my way through that. But no, notwithstanding, obviously, good luck, everybody in this competition. Thank you for Richard again for putting it together. 3 years in the VC. I'm sure you're going to be with us for many more years to come, Richard, with your wonderful pop knowledge and your fiendish little brain teasers that you have put together, which I believe you're planning on inflicting some more on us at some stage. So I shall look forward to that. But yeah, all the very best, Richard, and good luck to everybody who's entering this. I have watched some already. They've been really entertaining, and yeah, all the best, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.